They are doing this because of the love of the sport of wrestling. So please rise when I call your name, and please remain standing until I finish with our board. All right, so first, you just met Tom Davids, our vice president. And hold your applause till we get to the end and we'll go quicker. And I forgot, I'm the president, Doug Willer, for those of you who don't know. Next is our treasurer, Dan Kuhn. And Dan, in the back, is also the proud father of his son, Adam Kuhn, who will be representing the United States in Paris. And if that's not enough, Dan was the high school coach of Dalton Roberts, who also made the U.S. Olympic team in Greco-Roman. So how amazing is that? Next, we have our secretary, Greg Czar, John Major. John is a 2011 inductee. John Brown, who is a 2019 inductee. We have Ron Gaffner, a 2009 inductee. Jerry LaJoy, Kent Balo, Jack Provincial, a 2010 inductee. Our first female board member, Trina Rowe, as women's wrestling is a rapidly growing sport, and they are all here in attendance today. So if we can now have a round of applause for them. Next, I would like to introduce our advisory board, and I like to think of them as the board members of the future and the past. First, we have from the past Ed Bankowski, 2012 inductee, please rise, and the past president emeritus of our organization. Next is Eric Koch, a 2009 inductee and past president emeritus. And Mike DeGain, a 2024 inductee and past president emeritus. And we have our newest members of the advisory board, Casey Randolph, Tom Johnson, who gave the invitation, and Dan Hudler. If you would please give them a round of applause. I would also like to take a moment to introduce our past inductees who have come to this banquet not only to support the new inductees, but to support the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and the Michigan chapter. So, without further ado, Jer Klein, class of 2007 inductee. Tom Lehman, class of 2008. Eric Koch, 2009. Ron Gaffner, 2009. Bernie Gonzalez, and junior world gold medalist. Bernie Gonzalez. Bernie, can you still stand up?
Yes. He is standing up.
2010 inductee. Jack Provincial, 2010 inductee. Bob Freeloff, class of 2010. John Major, board member and class of 2011. Ed Bankowski, class of 2012. All the way in the back, Ron Nagy, 2016. Carl Latora, 2017. Dennis Storrs, 2017. John Brown, 2018. Roy Hall, 2018. Scott Strickler, 2018. Bill Buck, 2019. Rick Shifter, 2019. Bob Beach, 2022. And up here in the front, Dennis Hartland, class of 2023. If we could have a round of applause for the outstanding Lifetime Service Award winners for our great sports and their commitment to our sport. I would like to acknowledge a couple of other groups. In the program, I think it's on page 4, there's a list of people who have made generous donations to the Michigan chapter of the Wrestling Hall of Fame. It is greatly appreciated, and instead of reading all their names, you can see them in the program. And I would also like to acknowledge a unique group of donors, some of which didn't even know our organization existed until they donated. They're motored to the back of the program. They're right after Paul Salyers.
Yeah.
All right. And these people made donations in the name of Lee Davis. Lee requested that you could make donations instead of flowers to the National Wildlife Association or the Michigan chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and these people chose us. And I want to point out that Lee's last act, and by the way, I might get some know because Lee was my father-in-law and my lucky bride of 53 years, father. And Lee and Joy, his wife, were inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Michigan chapter in 2011 for their promotion of wrestling in the state of Michigan. And when I say promotion, they started 6 elementary school programs. They put Hazel Park on the map with wrestling. And Lee turned his sporting goods business into a wrestling business. And I don't know how many people I have met who have told me I got my first pair of shoes from Lee Davis. And the donations made on his behalf totaled more than $2,000. So thank you, Lee, and thank you to the donors. I need to personally thank a few individuals who have been extremely helpful in my transition to the office of president. I won't ask them to stand, they can just raise their hand because I know Ed's getting old. So I want to thank Ed Bankowski, last year's president. He has been generous and he has been a generous and constructive mentor. He not only provided me with all of his documents, he did it both in paper and digital form. And not having to reinvent everything was really very time-saving and helpful. But just as important, he was always available for me to call and ask for clarification on things or questions. And by the way, this last act was just 5 minutes ago when, if you noticed, it said the battery was running dead on the thing. He signaled me and said, and then he told me he will always have my back. So thank you, Ed, for all of your help. I would also like to thank Mike DeGain, another past president, and one of our inductees this year. Mike was also very helpful throughout this transition by sharing his experience and his insights on many of the details. So thank you, Mike. Time out. to the wife of our inductee, Paul Salyers. Gail Salyers, when she found out that I was a novice at doing PowerPoint presentations, she asked me to send all the pictures that all the nominees have sent to me, and she put this PowerPoint presentation together with all those pictures, and it was incredible. And when I told her how good they were, she said, well, I'm also into photography, and if you would like, I can take the pictures at the banquet. And she is so gentle. She even volunteered her daughter Lauren to help. So, and the flowers are a token of our esteem and a wonderful idea by the next person I need to thank, and that would be my wife Mary. Mary and I were introduced to each other by her mother, who was an inductee into our Hall of Fame. So I married into a wrestling family, and time out. It's time for me to take my pill. All right. So don't worry. So I would be woefully remiss not to publicly thank my wife Mary for her patience, her counseling, and I sincerely miss her sage advice while helping me coordinate all of the elements that went into creating this event, and for also remembering that I should probably get flowers for Dale. So, thank you, Mary. And finally, one last note. There is a change in the program on page 1. I had the inductees going to be recognized in alphabetical order, but I got a call from Mike DeGain saying that one of his sons could not get out of a previous engagement and could not get here until around 3 o'clock. So we have moved Mike to the bottom. And with that, I would like to introduce our MC for the afternoon and be reading off the introductions. Many of you may recognize him by voice. For many, many years, he was the voice of the Michigan High School Athletic Association state tournaments. Please welcome Mr. Brent Mickelson.
Getting older and older every year, as we all are. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's presentation of our Outstanding Wrestling Awards and the installation of 7 outstanding candidates to the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's good to see so many familiar faces of our great wrestling community here today, and a special welcome to the friends and families of today's inductees. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. The 2024 Michigan Outstanding Male Wrestler and the Dave Schultz Award. This prestigious award is being presented by the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Michigan Chapter Board Member, Mr. Jerry LaJoy. Jerry, would you come up? And now, please welcome Justin Gates and Jerry LaJoy to the podium.
Go Cards! Go Cards!
It's with a great pleasure that we present Justin Gates. Justin is the Michigan Chapter's Outstanding Senior Male High School Wrestler of the Year. He is also the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Dave Schultz Award recipient for the state of Michigan. The Dave Schultz Award is named after the Olympic and world champion and given to the most outstanding high school senior male wrestler in each state for their excellence in wrestling, scholastic achievement, citizenship, and community service. Justin is worthy of this honor, and in the words of his coach at Davison High School, Chase Hall, Justin has an unmatched work ethic. He's consistently the hardest worker in the room. Justin's work ethic is almost contagious and inspires other kids in the room. As a result, this work ethic has resulted in great success both in the wrestling room and in the classroom. On the mat, Justin is a 4-time district and regional champion and 4-time state finalist. He's a 3-time MHSAA state champion in Division I. He finished his high school record with a very impressive 142-6 record. Outside of high school, Justin was a 2-time Grappler Gold champ, Grappler Fall Classic champ, undefeated in the Tyrant duels plus the individual Tyrant champ. He is a 2-time Beat the Streets Detroit Gala winner, and Justin was also named the Saginaw Valley Wrestler of the Year for 2024. In the classroom, Justin's work ethic was equally successful. He was named to the MHSAA Academic All-State 4 times and currently is graduating with a 4.02 grade point average.
Woo!
Justin plans to attend the University of Michigan in the fall. So let's give another hand to Justin as Mr. LaJoy presents his award.
Jerry, give him the box too.
Give a box.
Hey. And now we'd like to present Michigan's Outstanding Female Wrestler and Tricia Saunders Award winner for 2024, which is also being presented by Mr. Jerry LaJoy. Sabrina Nauss, would you please come to the podium?
Throw one at Brett.
It's with great pleasure that we recognize Sabrina, who is the Michigan Chapter's Outstanding Senior Female High School Wrestler of the Year. She is also the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and 2024 Tricia Saunders Award winner for the state of Michigan. Tricia Saunders, who grew up right here in Ann Arbor, is a 4-time world champion and an inspirational pioneer in the sport of women's wrestling. Like the Dave Schultz Award, the Tricia Saunders Award is given to the most outstanding high school senior female wrestler in each state for their excellence in wrestling, scholastic achievement, citizenship, and community service. Sabrina will be graduating this spring from Brighton High School, where she was coached by Mr. Shawn Scott. She has a 3.98 grade point average and is a member of the National Honor Society. Sabrina has been involved in community service, specifically with the Habitat for Humanity. Among her numerous accolades, she has been the recipient of 2 State of Michigan Tribute Awards bestowed by the Governor's Office. As impressive as that is, her wrestling accomplishments are hard to rival. Sabrina started wrestling at a very young age and demonstrated real aptitude and ability that has carried on throughout her career. She's a 4-time undefeated MHSAA regional and state champion.
Let's go!
She is so well respected by her peers that she was actually named a captain of the Brighton varsity wrestling team. On the national level, she's undefeated 4-time Fargo Junior National Champion and ranked #1 nationally in her weight class by USA Wrestling. Sabrina plans on continuing her education and wrestling. She's not yet decided on whether that will be at Grand Valley State University or North Central College. Please give a hand to Sabrina and Mr. Larry I didn't mean to change Mr. LaJoy's name. Now that we've recognized 2 outstanding individuals in our great Michigan wrestling community, let's go on to the 7 outstanding inductees that we have entering into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame today. Their names will be available on the smart screen kiosk displayed at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in Stillwater, Oklahoma, as well as on the Hall's website, which is nwhof.org. Today, each of our newest inductees will receive a Hall of Fame jacket and a plaque. Our first inductee of the afternoon is Mr. Todd Cheney. This Lifetime Service Award will be presented by his nominator and 2009 Hall of Fame inductee and current board member, Mr. Ron Gaffner. Ron? Todd was introduced to wrestling in the fall of 1986 as a freshman at Hartland High School. He was coached by Mike Kane as a freshman and then Bill Kane the following 3 seasons. In high school, Todd was a 2-time state qualifier and finished as a state runner-up in his senior season. Todd went to Western Montana College as a college freshman and competing for the Bulldogs before transferring to Muskegon Community College. While at Muskegon, Todd competed for Coach Ron Gaffner and was a national NJCAA national qualifier at 142 pounds. Todd completed his teaching degree from Eastern Michigan University and later went on to earn his master's degree in education. His coaching career began in 1992 at his alma mater in Hartland High School, where he served as head coach for 29 seasons. You don't look that old. In his time at Hartland, his teams finished with a dual meet record of 810 wins, 113 losses, and 2 ties.
Bam!
Todd's Hartland teams won 19 conference championships, 25 district titles, and 22 regional titles. They finished as state runners-up on 5 occasions and won the 2016 team state champion. His teams earned academic all-state honors 20 times. Todd also coached 8 teams that finished in the top 8 in the AAU Scholastic Duels in Florida and coached various youth teams in numerous national events. Todd currently serves as an assistant coach at Social Circle High School in Social Circle, Georgia, where his teams have won 3 state championships and had 9 individual state champions in the past 2 seasons. For 17 years, Todd served on the Michigan Wrestling Association board and served for 5 years as president. He also served on the National Wrestling Hall of Fame board for the Michigan chapter from 2007 to 2014. Through the years, he has served on over 20 committees for the Michigan High School Athletic Association and hosted the NWA Classic, the state all-star meet for graduating seniors, 3 seasons. Todd also served 1 year as an MHSAA wrestling official and 1 year commentating the MHSAA team and individual finals for the NFHS network. Overall, Todd has been involved in wrestling nearly 40 years. So now let's please recognize Mr. Todd Cheney.
I need to apologize for obstructing view seating and my loud, obnoxious group here. Here's how great of friends they are. They're holding up signs that say 113. That's the number of losses I had as a coach. And the balloons 5-2s for the 5 times that we lost in the state championship.
One time.
We love you, Lonnie!
So, Lifetime Service Award. When Coach Gaffner first called me and told me about this award, I had to really think about what a lifetime service really meant. And for me, I didn't have to go very far, as I have 2 special people in my life that have given me a lifetime of service. My mom and dad. Many of you have seen Paul and Sandy at my meets, and I will be forever grateful for them. They taught me what was right and wrong. They taught me how to be a good person, and they never missed any of my events, and never missed a single sporting competition of mine, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah!
So before we do anything else, I want to make this a little interactive. Last night I was sitting around and hadn't seen Coach DeGain in a couple of years, and when we sat down, it was like we had just seen each other yesterday. And with so many of you today, when you walked in, I saw you, and I just want to show you what our wrestling family kind of looks like. So if you meet any of these criteria, would you stand up for me and remain standing until I say these 3 things? So if I ever coached you in any capacity, or you coached with me at any time, would you please stand up? If you ever coached against me, or officiated a Hartland match, would you please stand up?
Women, stand up. I'm all 3 so far.
If you ever served on a board with me, or you have interacted with Hartland Wrestling as a coach, parent, or administrator in the past 40 years, would you please stand up? And there is our wrestling family. Thank you.
Yeah!
First, I'd like to thank everybody that put on this event. The board for selecting me, and one of my college coaches, Ron Gaffner, for nominating me. To the other inductees, I am truly honored to receive this award with you, and blessed that I have my name on the wall with the past inductees of the Michigan chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So to explain my journey, I thought I'd give you a little timeline. My journey, my wrestling journey, or my lifetime of service, began in 1986. I walked through the gym, and wrestling mats were rolled out, and BJ Schroeder said, "Cheney, you're wrestling, right?" And that was it. I came home and told my parents that night that I needed wrestling shoes and never looked back. I had 2 huge fans while I was in high school. My brother Frank and my sister Lori, and they're both here today. Lori was usually the loudest one in the crowd, and Frank was the person that I took out my losses on more than even myself. I was blessed to have a successful high school career and finished as state runner-up and went on to wrestle at Western Montana College in my freshman season in 1990 and 1991. After that, I decided to return home, and one of my high school teammates told me that Muskegon Community College was bringing back their program, and I called Coach Gaffner that day. He had me out the following weekend, and I became a Jayhawk. I was fortunate enough that I got to qualify for the NJCAA National Championships, but came up short of my goal of being an All-American. So at that point in my life, I was a little down on wrestling. And like many of you know, wrestling is a sport that takes a toll on you, not just physically, but emotionally. So I decided I wanted to finish my teaching degree at Eastern Michigan University and told my high school coach, Bill Kay, that I wanted to help him out. So I ran a couple open mats, and then later that month in October, Bill pulled me aside and said, Todd, why don't you just take the job? Well, I was 20 years old and I was not ready for that. But that night, our athletic director at the time, John DeGain, called me and said, Todd, we'd like to hire you as our next wrestling coach. I was 20 years old. His next question was, who do I want as my assistant? And I said, Chris Pfeiffer. So here we are, at 20 and 21 years old, as high school wrestling coaches. The 93 to 95 seasons were tough, but we had great people that worked extremely hard, and our team got better every day. Our team was last in the conference in 1992, so we really had nowhere to go but up. In 1996, it was a year of firsts for our team. We were fortunate enough to win our school's first team district championship since they had changed to the team format in 1988. We then went on to win the regional title and make it to team state, and this completely changed our program. We repeated that in 1997 and got our school's second ever state champion in John Graybill. And John is here today. John serves as coach at Riverview Gabriel Richard. From 1998 to 2001, these seasons seemed disappointing for us, as we continued to have state placers, but didn't make it back to the team state tournament. In 2001-2002 season, though, everything seemed to change. I personally believe it was because of the birth of my good luck charm, my daughter Maddie. Many of you know Maddie, as she's run the Hartland tournament on track for years and run a number of regional tournaments as well. And actually in the COVID year, she ran the track tournament for the Division 2 and 4 finals. And Kyle, here's a fun fact for you. Since Maddie has been born, Hartland has won every team district and team regional championship. Whoa. She turned 23 last month. We lost in the state quarterfinals for the 4th time, and it became a little frustrating. However, in 2003, the second of my good luck charms was born, my son Bryce. Many of you have seen Bryce with that red mustache from his Gatorades and wrestling since he was 5 years old and following the Hartland program around. When he was born, we finally broke through and made it to the state championship match in 2004, only to run into a Davison team with 3 future NCAA national champions. So from 2004 to 2015, Hartland had amazing success, making the state championship 5 times, the final 4, 10 out of 12 years, and produced 10 state champions. During this time, I became a member of the Michigan Wrestling Association and served on that board for 17 years, 5 as president. Took 8 teams to the AAU Scholastic Duels at Disney, hosted the MWA Classic, visited over 10 states with youth teams, and then was a member of this board from 2007 to 2014. I also served on numerous committees for the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and in that time helped run the Hartland Wrestling Club with Coach Garnet Potter and Eric Thornton. So at that point, I knew I was doing a little bit too much. We hadn't won a state title, and I kind of dropped a few of the things that I was doing and focused on wrestling a little bit more. So the only thing missing from the Hartland Trophy case was a state championship. So in 2016, with Maddie as a freshman, and after finishing as state runner-up on 5 different occasions, including 4 straight, we finally won. Many of you were there, and this moment was amazing, but it wouldn't have been the same with all of you there. Many of you knew this journey, but we got to live it. Would all my former Hartland coaches please stand up?
Yeah!
So, I could stand up here for hours and talk about all of you and all the times that we've been through. I was truly honored to have the opportunity to coach with you, and please understand that the years that you have given in your service are why I stand up here receiving this award today. In 2017, I wrote a book about that journey. I never published it, but I wrote it. And from time to time, I look back at it and remember that journey of being so close and then finally winning. So after retiring from coaching in 2021, I took up officiating for a year and met a whole new group of people. In 2021, I retired from teaching in Michigan and found an amazing opportunity to teach and coach with former Chip Hills coach and friend Nate Etheridge. I found myself in Social Circle, Georgia, a small community about 40 minutes east of Atlanta. So for the past 2 seasons, I've been an assistant coach at Social Circle High School for head coach Randy Prater. Nate and Randy both flew down for this event, and I'm truly grateful that you are here. We've been completely spoiled and had amazing success, as we've won 3 state championships and crowned 9 state champions in the past 2 years. In Georgia, we keep points at the individual tournament as well, so we have team and individual. So for us, it is possible to win 2 state titles. So if you're trying to do the math there, obviously for us here in Michigan, it's a little new. Recently, my new activity has been taking my over 1,000 wrestling videos and putting them on YouTube. I was encouraged by my girlfriend Nicole to get rid of some of the bins that we had that took up so much space in our closets. So with that, if you don't follow or aren't subscribed to Coach Cheney's gallery, I've got over 175 videos that have gone up in the past 2 months, and hopefully some of them are your memories and I can share them with you. So this has been my journey so far, or my lifetime of service to the sport of wrestling. This plan will continue, and I look forward to the new adventures. Again, I want to thank everyone that made this lifetime possible for me. I'll say that again. I want to thank everyone that made this lifetime possible for me.
Yes,
I would like to thank the board for everything you've done to run this organization and setting up today's events, and I would also like to congratulate my fellow inductees. Thank you, and I hope that my lifetime of service has brought all of you joy. Thank you.
Can you see it better than me? I know. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5.
Got it. Where's going on?
Pause right there. Pause right there. Yeah. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. Mark Holdren. Mark, would you come up to the podium? His Lifetime Service Award will be presented by his nominator, Mr. Ron Gaffner. Ron's been busy nominating people. Mark Holdren first started participating in the sport of wrestling 55 years ago. He was in middle school at the time and would go to the high school practice with the team. In high school, Mark was a 3-sport athlete participating in cross country, track, and wrestling, and it didn't take long before he realized wrestling was his favorite sport. And he earned 4 varsity letters and placed 3rd in the Class B state tournament. Mark attended Olivet College and wrestled for the legendary coach J.R. Klein. He broke into the varsity lineup as a freshman, earning 4 varsity letters. He was a 4-time league finalist, winning championships in his last 2 seasons, and was a 4-time Division III national qualifier. After graduating from Olivet in 1980, Mark remained at the college for 3 years, working as an admissions counselor and volunteer wrestling coach. In 1983, Mark became the head coach of the Portland Raider wrestling program until he left in 2000 to be the head coach of the Olivet College for the 2000 and 2001 season. Mark returned to the Portland Raiders as an assistant from 2011 to 2016. In 2016, he again became the head coach of the Raiders until his retirement in 2019. After 35 years of teaching, Mark continues supporting the wrestling program as an assistant coach. During Mark's tenure as Portland head coach, his teams won 5 league championships, 5 district championships, and qualified for the team state tournament 3 times. His teams have been recognized 4 times with the MHSAA Sportsmanship Award. Mark qualified at least one wrestler in the state individual tournament for 19 of his 20 years, and as a head coach for Portland. He has coached 32 All-State medalists and 8 state champions. Mark was a member of the coaching staffs of 5 junior and cadet national wrestling teams, a team leader for the Brazil and Japan cultural exchange trips, and a clinician for 17 years at the popular Olivet College Wrestling Camp. Mark's been involved in the promotion and support of the sport of wrestling and through his many and varied leadership positions. He's held board positions in MWA, starting with membership chair for 8 years, secretary, treasurer, vice president, and president. He was editor of the MWA newsletter for 10 years. Presently, he represents the MWA on the Michigan High School Coaches Association Executive Board, the National Wrestling Coaches Association Scholastic Division Board, and the National High School Athletic Coaches Association Board. For the last 8 years, he's chaired the MWA Hall of Fame Selection Committee and organizes the Banquet and organized the last 4 fall clinics. Twice Mark was named as the Division II Coach of the Year. He's inducted into the Olivet College Athletic Hall of Fame, inducted with his 1990 and 91 wrestling team into the Portland Athletic Hall of Fame. He's been inducted into the Michigan Wrestling Hall of Fame and inducted into the Michigan High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Please welcome to the podium our next lifetime service to wrestling inductee, Mr. Mark Holdren.
I'd like to express my gratitude to the Michigan Chapter Board of Directors for recommending my induction into the National Hall of Fame for Lifetime Service Award. Doug Weller, I appreciate all the work that you put into this event, as well as the help you gave me in preparing for today. Ron Gaffner, thank you for initiating and supporting my application. I'd like to thank 3 more people that wrote letters of support. These 3 people have been extremely important to my development. Jared Klein, Olivet College, Jack Provenzel, formerly of Eaton Rapids, and Bob Beach of Lakewood. Thank you for such a generous letter of support. To the other inductees, congratulations. Over the years, I've heard the term or sentence phrase, sport of wrestling, described in many ways. I prefer the definition that my college coach would often say to recruits. The sport of wrestling is a means to an end. He would go on to explain that the sport of wrestling was the reason that recruits attended college, but the end result was to get your education. I have been involved in the sport of wrestling for 55 years, and I have learned that it is more than just a sport, but it provides a path or direction for life's journey. The sport of wrestling took me to Olivet, where I met my wife, Lynn. We would never have crossed paths if I had not decided to wrestle at Olivet.
All right.
In the beginning of my sophomore year, she was a freshman. She and a friend were walking down the street, and we stopped to talk. 4 years later, we were married, and in June we'll be celebrating our 43rd wedding anniversary. Thank you for being there for me and our kids. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to introduce and brag about my children. It was a very busy Holdren house as we were growing up. Erin is our oldest. She's here with her husband, Corey. They have 2 children, Liliana and Henry. In high school, Erin was in the top 10 of her class, participated in cross-country volleyball track for all 4 years. At Allegan College, she participated in volleyball and track, graduated in pre-med, and she is a doctor of podiatric medicine and just recently became co-owner of the Fenton Foot Care business. Jennifer is our second child and is here with her husband Brady. They have 3 children, Amara, Mackenzie, and Isabel. In high school, Jennifer graduated as valedictorian of her class, participating in cross-country, volleyball, and track. She graduated from Michigan Tech and is a certified chemical engineer working in the research department at Dow Chemical. Alex is our youngest and is here with his wife Amber. In high school, Alex graduated as valedictorian of his class, participated in tennis, and graduated from Adrian College, where he played tennis all 4 years. Alex is a doctor of physical therapy and works at the Fenton Physical Therapy business. I'd like to also introduce my brother Paul and his wife Karen, who are here to support me. Paul was the one that got me interested in wrestling first. He was a wrestler at Albion High School, went on to Albion College, where he was an outstanding athlete. Paul was also responsible for starting 2 collegiate programs in Michigan. I want to thank you, Paul, for all the things that you've done throughout my life. Thanks also for the practice plans that you gave me for my first few years of wrestling. As stated, I started coaching in 1983 and went to the small community of Portland. Portland wasn't really known as a wrestling community. At best, it could be described as a struggling program. We did have space, cafeteria floor. We had an old mat that we rolled out every night and rolled up so the janitor could mop the cafeteria. And we started out with 14 wrestlers and 14 weight classes filled. Over the next couple of years, our principal, Monty Overway, talked to the Board of Education and superintendent. We ended up purchasing a new mat and a designated wrestling room attached to the gym. It was a start. There are a couple of situations that happened during my early years of coaching that helped to form my coaching philosophy. 1, the sport of wrestling should be a positive experience for all. 2, the sport of wrestling should include all kids and not just the best or most coachable. And 3, progress sometimes is a result of setbacks. My first situation that sort of helped me to mold my philosophy was in Portland. I was talking to one of the wrestlers, and I talked to him about how he did the season before. And what we brought up was the idea that he was involved with the fish tank method of training. I found out that the coach would tape off a section of the mat and put kids that he did not feel were good enough in that section of mat so they could work out by themselves, so that he had time to work out with others. I told the wrestler that told me about the fish tank that Portland would no longer be using that method of training. And so we decided to change the culture, that every individual wrestler, regardless of ability, makes the team stronger. As we made changes in Portland, we became more successful, and our team sizes were consistently larger and larger. By the late 1980s, the average size of Portland's team had gone from 14 to the mid-40s. Example number 2, at the start of the 1990 season, Portland athletes learned that the board had decided to do an activity fee per sport. The activity fee was $250 per athlete per season. And today, I looked it up, I Googled it, and today's money, that would be $575 per child to participate in athletics. As you can imagine, our team size went from the mid-40s to 16 just in a couple days. We were able to rise through the adversity and qualified for the state tournament, ending the season with a 28-2 record. Our only 2 losses was a mid-season dual meet with Eden Rapids, who was eventually the state champion that year, and gross eel that were at the state tournament that were runners up. All I could think about are the kids that didn't get the chance to wrestle that year. In 1994, by 1994, we had qualified at least one wrestler for the state tournament every single season for 10 seasons. In all, 26 wrestlers qualified for the state tournament, 11 of which were all state medalists and 3 were state champions. In the 1994-95 season, Portland learned to take another step forward, although it didn't seem like it at the time. Portland did not have a single wrestler in 1994-95 qualify for the state tournament. In fact, Portland did not have a single wrestler get out of districts. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise. At that district, we established a few new traditions. The first one was that none of the wrestlers could get dressed until the team was done for the day. I always figured that if they were meant to be wrestling, they should be dressed to be wrestling. So that was a little bit of a change in attitude. The second was the wrestlers needed to do a mini workout before getting dressed. The third one was that the team, even the kids that didn't wrestle in the districts, would stay together and practice through the state tournament. It was about changing the mindset of the team. Wrestlers have their uniforms on at the end of a tournament, usually placed. Wrestlers should start the next season as quickly as possible, and there was no time like the present. And wrestlers who qualified for the state tournament got significantly more practice than those that went home after districts. I figured out the math. 45 practices for seasons, not including competitions, 15 practices for postseason. That's 20 to 25% more wrestling that kids get with teams that qualify for the state tournament than the ones that just go home at districts. I asked the kids what they wanted to do. Did they want to be the team that went home and got the district or got the banquet out of the way, or did they want to continue on? And they chose to continue on, whether they really had a choice in the matter or not. The very next season, the team qualified for the 1996-97 or 96 state team states. We had 4 qualifiers and 2 state placers. The second season after that, in 1997, the team qualified again for the state tournament with 5 individual state placers. We had a state champion, 2 seconds, and 2 fifths. What an improvement over 2 years. We still hold that record as the best or most state placers in a single season. I'd like to thank a few Portland wrestlers for coming to support my recognition. Ken Buckland, Travis Opperman, and Chad Guilford. They are outstanding people. They were outstanding wrestlers, and all of them had a time of coaching in Portland. Their sons are following in their footsteps as well. They are a testament to the sport of wrestling. Over the years, I've had an opportunity to coach many sons of Portland wrestlers. This past season, we had 6 legacy wrestlers on the team. I believe it was because of the culture their dads experienced while they were in the sport of wrestling. As I close, there are 3 individuals that I would like to thank that are like family to me. First one, Dan Kuhn. Most of you know who Dan Kuhn is, not because of his son, but because of the many, many years of wrestling. Dan and I coached against each other, coached with each other, worked on committees together, were clinicians at camps together, and took 2 teams, one to Japan and one to Brazil. Thank you for all the friendship we've had over the years, Dan. I am also glad that you will have the opportunity to take your wife to Paris like you have always planned.
Yeah!
Second person, Ron Schultz. He was an assistant coach while I was at Allegan College. He is enthusiastic, knowledgeable, and ran a great no-talk practice. Those of you that know Coach Klein understand that. We always enjoy ourselves when we coach. Third person is Coach Klein. Coach Klein is my college coach and been a friend and mentor for over 50 years, or about 50 years. We have shared many conversations, and he always ends with the "love you" at the end of our conversations. Of course, he is that way with all of his wrestlers. I will leave you with this thought about getting old. All right, you know that you are old when? You know that you are old when your glasses are getting thicker and thicker. You know you are old when your back hurts in the morning getting out of bed. You know that you are old when you have more hair on your ears than you do on the top of your head. And finally, you know that you are old when you are being recognized for a Lifetime Service Award in the sport of wrestling. Most of you know that I'm a sci-fi person, so I'll end with this statement. May the sport of wrestling be with you. Thank you.
Our third inductee is Mr. Shawn Murray. And his Lifetime Service Award will be presented by his nominator and current board member, Mr. Kent Balow. Kent, come on up here. Shawn, you're here someplace, aren't you? Oh, it's right in front. Waiting for him to stand. Shawn graduated from Clintondale High School in 1982, where his passion for wrestling began. He played football for 4 years, where he was a two-time All-Bi-County League Award winner and earned All-Macomb County and Metro East honors his senior year. In wrestling, he was a 4-time Bi-County League Award winner, 3-time Bi-County League champion, 3-time All-Macomb County Award recipient. Shawn also played baseball all 4 years and earned 2 varsity letters. To top off Shawn's high school athletic career, he was awarded the Clintondale 1982 Outstanding Senior Athlete Award. After graduation, Shawn continued his wrestling career at Grand Rapids Junior College in 1983 and 84. After completing his associate's degree at Grand Rapids Junior College, he came home to Clinton Township and started working for Fetz Engineering. Shawn was hired by General Motors in 1991 and is currently a senior automotive designer. Shawn continued his education at Baker College and graduated with a bachelor's degree in business leadership. He honed that degree into a coaching career. He started his coaching as an assistant at his alma mater, Clintondale, in 1984. Over the next 3 years, the team compiled a record of 51-6. In 1987, Sterling Heights needed a varsity coach, and they hired Shawn. He's been their coach since then and just completed his 37th year. During that time, Shawn's teams won 543 dual meets, a Sterling Heights High School record and Warren Consolidated Schools record for varsity wins regardless of sport. His teams have won 21 Macomb Area Conference Championships, 18 districts, and 1 regional. Shawn is a 7-time NWA Regional Coach of the Year, 12-time Macomb Area Conference Coach of the Year, and in 1999, the Macomb County Coach of the Year. His teams also earned academic All-State honors 10 different times. Macomb Area Conference Sportsmanship Award 6 times, and Macomb County Team of the Year in 1999. Shawn's been a member of the NWA for 40 years and president of the Macomb County Wrestling Coaches Association for 34 years. He's also been the Clintondale High School football videographer for 40 years and the secretary of the Clinton High School C Club for 4 years. Shawn was inducted into the Clintondale Athletic Hall of Fame in 1999 and the Macomb County Coaches Hall of Fame in 2019. Shawn and his wife Cheryl were married in 1990 and they have 3 adult children, Danielle, Mackenzie, and Shawn. Now let's please welcome to the podium lifetime service to Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Shawn Murray.
Before I start, I'd like to thank the committee members, especially Kent Balo, for nominating me for this incredible honor. It could only happen with great people with you along the way, as all you coaches know. That is why I must recognize the great friends, coaches, and administrators I've worked with along the way. Starting with Floyd Thomas, my first wrestling coach as an 8th grader in 1977 at Clintondale Middle School. Thank you for getting me started on my wrestling career, Floyd. My high school coaches, Dave Vogel and Arnie Brock, 2 of the finest coaches any high school wrestler could have hoped to have. A quick note on Coach Vogel and Coach Brock. I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but under their leadership, they recorded 92 consecutive dual meets without a loss from 1971 to 1978, which still stands as a state record. We happen to have a guest here tonight that was a big part of that streak. Where's he at? Mr. Rick Julian. 1974 graduate and the current Fraser High School wrestling coach. I was fortunate enough to have Charlie Wells, as many of you know, as my college coach at Grand Rapids Junior College. Thank you, Coach Wells, for giving me the passion to coach. Thank you to Mitchell Ritter, 1984 athletic director at Clintondale High School, for giving me my first coaching job as the assistant wrestling coach at Clintondale at the young age of 20. Thank you to William Gordon for hiring me in 1987 at Sterling Heights High School as the head wrestling coach. I've worked with many great people at Sterling over the years, such as administrators Bill Yanis, Bob Radlinski, Ernie Shulo, Bob Moss, my current principal Craig Miller, and my current athletic director, Mr. Steve Schiesel. I have to thank all the coaches I've worked with over the years at Sterling. Mr. Tom DeMambro, that's here tonight. Dennis Uncle Jr., who's here tonight. John Garcia, Dan Matuch, Dave Cutlet, Dennis Uncle III, that's here tonight. George Georges, Nolan Solomon, and Justin and Shane Smith. As president of the Macomb County Wrestling Coaches Association, I've had the pleasure to work with some of the best coaching minds in the state of Michigan, and 3 of them happen to currently be on the board with me. Jim Morissette, Wayne Tamala, and Keith Wien. Keith Wien's in the house tonight. We run a 34-team girls and boys varsity and JV 2-day individual tournament at one site with 14 mats, and also put on an all Macomb area banquet for the wrestlers and their families that host 400 plus people, honoring wrestlers from Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, and St. Clair counties. And this would not be possible without these 3 men. There's also a gentleman here tonight that we all know, that has had a tremendous influence on so many coaches over the years. I would like to recognize him tonight for everything he has done for wrestling, not only in Macomb County, but the entire state of Michigan. Mr. Bill Delia. Where are you at? There he is. Thank you, Coach Delia, for all you do. I'd like to thank Don and Ron Nagy. They're in the house tonight, for allowing my wife Cheryl and I to be part of your incredible team that runs the individual state finals. It means the world to both of us. I have to give a shout out to Mr. Bob Wamsley and his wife Lee. Bob was the best man in my wedding to Cheryl, and happens to be my longest and best friend. We have been friends since youth baseball some 50 plus years ago, and I was fortunate enough to have Bob with me when I got the call from Kent about my induction. Thank you, Bob and Lee, for being the best friends anyone could ask for. Speaking of longtime friends, I want to thank Mr. Bob Smith, who's in the house tonight, a 1982 graduate of Fraser High School, for being here tonight. We wrestled against each other our freshman and junior years in high school, and he happened to beat me our junior year in regional finals at Hazel Park, but we won't talk about it. We have been great friends ever since. Thank you for making the trip here from Florida, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Mario Marsh. He's here. For making the trip here from Texas. Mario wrestled for me at Sterling Heights High School, was a two-time All-Stater, as well as the #1 ranked wrestler in his weight class entering your senior year. You are and always will be the most treasured wrestler I've ever coached. Yeah. I feel that the most important thing I've done for my wrestlers is giving them the confidence and belief in themselves that they can be or do anything they set their minds to. That is what wrestling has done for me in all facets of my life, and that is what I have set out to instill in my wrestlers and my coaching career. I must also mention someone that you all know, I'm sure, the passing of Mr. Al Castle this year. We spent many MWA fall clinics putting together the preseason rankings for the upcoming season, and also coaching against each other many, many times. Thank you for everything you taught me, AK. Rest in peace, Coach. You will be dearly missed. Thank you to my brother Michael, my sisters Michelle, Kathleen, for being here today, to sharing this great honor with me. Thank you always for being there for me. Most people won't know this, but Kathleen, I'm proud to say that I'm your brother. That's an inside joke. Last but most importantly, I want to thank the 5 most important people in my life. My mom, Barbara Hamilton Murray, who's here. My wife of 33 plus years, Cheryl Murray, and my 3 children. Thank you, Mom, for always being there and supporting me in everything I choose to pursue. And to my wife, Cheryl, thank you for being the rock of our family and allowing me to pursue my love of wrestling and to coach for 40 plus years. And as most of you know, it's a lot of long nights, and you're not there a lot, so thank you. You've been by my side since 1981, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. You've done an incredible job of raising our 3 children, Danielle, Mackenzie, and Shawn. I'm so proud of each of my children, what incredible adults they have become. I love you all. One last note here. I have one moment to share with you that reminded me of why I coach, and it happened this year. I had a young man wrestling at our county tournament this past season, and he has not had much of any success the previous year or this season. We were wrestling at the Macomb County Invitational, and he won his first match by fall, which was a big surprise. And was wrestling his second match of the tournament. He took his opponent down, put him on his back, and got the fall. After getting his hand raised, and as he walked off the mat, he was mobbed by all of his teammates. And I mentioned this to Coach Uncle when it happened. To see the smile on this young man's face and look in his eyes as he was being mobbed you would have thought that he just won the Olympic gold medal. At that moment, it reminded me of why I coach. Thank you again for this incredible honor. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Our fourth inductee is Mr. John Rinehart, whose Lifetime Service Award will be presented by his nominator, Mr. Pat Coleman. Gentlemen, please come to the front. Don graduated from Holdren High School in 1968, where he played football, basketball, baseball, and he ran track. He was the MVP and co-captain for the basketball team his senior year. Go figure. Don graduated from Ferris State in 1974 and was hired that same year to teach math and coach at Rockford High School. During his 36 years at Rockford, he coached 6 years of freshman baseball, 10 years of freshman softball, 21 years of freshman football, and 35 years of wrestling. The Rams wrestling team had an 82, 129, and 2 dual meet record when Don took over as head coach. The Rams record over the next 29 years is 559, 153, and 2. They were 13-time champions of the OK Red Conference, 16-time MHSAA district champs, 12-time regional champs, and MHSAA state team qualifiers. The Rams had 6 Final Four team appearances and were state runner-up twice and state champions twice. Individually, Don coached 121 state qualifiers, 78 of which were medalists, 15 state runner-ups, 19 state champs. His teams have earned him many Coach of the Year awards, along with being one of 8 finalists for the National Coach of the Year award in 2007. He's been inducted into the Rockford High School Athletic Hall of Fame, the Michigan Wrestling Association Hall of Fame, and the Michigan High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And now, please welcome to the podium, Lifetime Service of Wrestling Hall of Fame Award inductee, Mr. Don Rinehart.
This is not going to be easy for me. I get emotional. And I'm going to blame anything, tears or whatever. I got allergies. I want to thank the committee. You know, obviously this is a great honor. It truly is a very special honor for me because I don't have a background in wrestling. I want to thank Doug Woder. He assisted me tremendously throughout this whole process, and I've talked to him on the phone several times, and we talked about a lot of different things other than wrestling too. But I want to thank him for all that. Congratulations to all the other inductees. You know, I'm very proud to be up here with them. I have competed against them. Our teams competed together, and it really is special to be up here with them to be inducted at the same time. But congratulations to you. We all know that to coach any sport, it takes a family. It takes so many people behind you. Otherwise, you just can't do it on your own. And there's so many names that I could list off, and you wouldn't know who they are, and you wouldn't recognize the names. But they had a great backed me greatly as I went through my tenure at Rockford. And I have to thank them. I mean, I do have some thank yous I'm going to hand out here, but I'm going to try to keep it so it's not too lengthy. Maybe the ones that you know. But anyway, first of all, I have to thank my career partner, my wife. Yep.
Allergies. It'll get you.
She is my best friend. She's my soul partner, and she's the love of my life, and we've been together for 51 years. I was down for a couple of years when she was in high school, and the 2 years I was in the service, and we got married shortly thereafter after I got out of the Army. So we've been together more than 51 years. Also, my children, very proud of our family. We have 3 kids. They're back there at the table back there. Very busy family. My wife was very busy between, supporting me, but also all 3 of my children were 3 sport athletes. 2 of them are in the Rockford Hall of Fame for athletics. The 3rd one should be in there. And 2 of them were in college sports, and the other one decided to play in the marching band at Central Michigan University. But they've all very, very accomplished, and we chased around, and my wife chased around way more than I did. And also we have 5 grandchildren that we chase around from 14 to 23. We've been to college lacrosse. We have a baseball player at Kalamazoo College right now as a sophomore. We got one that's going to be playing football at Davenport next year as a freshman. He plays for West Catholic at this time. We have a dancer that dances all year round, so we get to follow that. Plus we have a 14-year-old, the youngest one is a travel baseball player, so we get on the move a lot of miles on. So anyway, I just so thankful for my family and for my family being here to support this. Also, thank everybody here that came here to share this moment with all of us. I know we all appreciate it very much. I have had so many outstanding coaches that have helped me along the way, and it goes from all different ways that they've helped me. I've had a lot of volunteer wrestling coaches come into the room, and it's amazing how they just fit into our program. I've had some leave, and the very next week, somebody else come in and did the same thing, took over their job, and just was amazing. And it's just amazing. Past wrestlers have come back in, and they're working with our program, working with our youth program, and it's still going very strong today because of all that support they had. I've had a great family support. I've had great community support, the Rockford High School family support, and most of all is the parent support. I have had the most amazing groups of parents that have backed our program and have done so many things that kind of set our program apart from the rest of them that were around our area. And again, kids love to come and wrestle for Rockford because of what their parents did to support them. So I have to thank them also. And last but not least, and this is a little unusual one, I have to thank the Boston Red Sox. I'm a Tiger fan, by the way. Okay. I'm already in place here, so I don't miss something. I was hired in on Rockford in 1974, the Friday before school started. I mean, I had been interviewing around, and there wasn't a lot of teaching jobs out there. I think I only maybe had 4 interviews. I did have one at Rockford, and I did not get the position. And it just so happened that the week before school started, Rick Kruger was a teacher in high school at the Rockford, and he was called up by the Boston Red Sox as a pitcher. So that opened the opening last minute, and I already interviewed there. They called me back and hired me. So we scrambled, married, had our first child, and we scrambled to find housing, move in, and be able to teach by Tuesday. And that's where that all started. And I'm gonna tell you my story now, I guess, and my story is totally different than anything else you're probably gonna hear from the wrestlers up here, wrestling coaches up here, because I was not a wrestler. I had nothing to do with wrestling. My dream job out of college, I wanted to coach baseball, and I wanted to coach basketball. It sounds funny, I know, but that's the way it was. In reality, married, having a child, we really just wanted a job. I wanted to teach, I wanted to work, I needed to make some money. So anyway, it turned out that I ended up getting a freshman coaching in baseball, teaching math at the high school, and they said assistant wrestling coach because nobody else wanted the position. And when I was in the Army, I was trained to be a military policeman, and I had some hand-to-hand combat training and a little bit of judo training, and I said, hey, what the heck, man, I could do this, that's not a problem. And then I started my on-the-job training. My on-the-job training came out to be, on the other hand too, I also wanted to get that job for coaching because it paid me $250 more, and that's what I needed. So, I got a big education my first 6 years as an assistant coach. One of them was Mike Weed. Mike Weed was the son of Coach Weed from Niles, Michigan, Ed Weed, and a great coach down there. And I coached with him for 2 years. And then the next 4 years I coached was with Pat Coleman. And Pat Coleman, and I want to thank him now this time for nominating me, obviously. I learned so much in those first 6 years. It gave me the confidence to apply for the head coaching job. And without that, I probably would have never done that. But they were very patient, and they nurtured me along and kept me there, I guess. But like I said, that helped me so much that I could, actually have the guts to apply for the job. Like I said, I started my on-the-job training by getting manhandled by our 98-pounder. He placed 6th in the state his senior year, and that was my first year. It was his senior year. I mean, he literally did manhandle me. I told him I probably could take you out of here if I wanted to use some maybe things that weren't quite so legal. But I decided I better stick to the rules, and he manhandled me. Over the 6 years, I worked my way up the weight classes and a lot of on-the-mat training and a lot of beatings probably, but I learned to love the sport. So much so that 4 years as an assistant, I got an opportunity, I got a phone call to go interview for a head coaching job in basketball at the old high school. And I was laid off at the time, so I didn't have a job really. And, young family, taking a chance, but I love the sport so much, I said, no, I don't think I'll do that. I think I'll be hired back. And I was. I think I got paid 5 out of my first 7 years, so it was kind of a real thing. So anyway, once the good news, and there's good news, bad news part of it, is that when I took over in 1980, there was a budget crunch in the school system, so my job as an assistant was eliminated, so I was the only coach. My baseball job was eliminated as a freshman baseball coach, and I got lucky, and the good news part is I got hired as a freshman football coach, so that gave me my $250 back that I needed. And so that kind of all worked out, and the best thing was I got a volunteer to walk into my room, Greg Holdren. A lot of you know him as the Harley coach, if you ever seen us wrestler or whatever, they call him the Harley coach, because he looked like he just got off his Harley. But he walked in and volunteered with me, and he was with me for 29 years as my assistant coach. And I owe tons to him. Let's see. Also, by being hired as a football coach, Rockford has had a good football program there for a long time. Back then it was so-so, it wasn't great, but it gave me the opportunity as a recruiting tool. A lot of those football players I could convince them to possibly come out and give wrestling a try. Again, the program wasn't really strong at that time, The numbers weren't really big and that kind of thing, so we needed to kind of build those up. A big part, okay, of my coaching style came from attending the Michigan Wrestling Association's clinics, yearly clinics. I attended them for 40 years. Every year they had somebody come in from one of the coaches from the colleges or one of the high schools that was doing real well, put on a clinic. And also the coach of the years always put on a little thing, whatever. I learned so much from those coaches. I mean, I ate it up. And I just tried to get and take anything that I could use to maybe go for my style. I couldn't copy them because you just can't do that. Well, success for one person is not going to be success for another. So I tried to mold that into something that I could use and do. One of the things I am most proud of, okay, about my career or whatever, is the fact that we averaged 60 plus wrestlers a year in the wrestling room, and at one year we had 90 in the wrestling room wrestling. And to give that many kids an opportunity to love the sport like I do was a phenomenal pride for me. So. There's been a lot of memorable years, things that have happened over my career, just a couple. I got to coach my son and his buddies for the 4 years, and we were state runner-ups in 1994 and in 1997. And it was a phenomenal for me to be able to do that. We had some big championship matches. We wrestled Hartland, we wrestled Allegan a lot, whatever. We've had a lot of duels that were just memorable. Accomplishments of former athletes, had quite a few. Dave Strobchek was a two-time Olympic alternate in 1996 and 2000. He was a four-time All-American for Fair State University, only four-time All-American that they have. And then we also have one in the audience today, four-time All-American for Central Michigan University, and just was named the head coach of Central Michigan University, Banquet. And then last but not least, I left the program in good hands. He was my assistant for 10 years. In fact, I left him with a lot. When I retired, he was my assistant freshman football coach, so he then became the head freshman football coach. I was the head coach in wrestling. He became the head coach after I left. And I also stuck him with being a member of the MWA because I was a member of that committee for 18 years. So when I left, he had to do that too. So he didn't thank me so much for that one. But anyway, he stepped up and he has really done an amazing job maintaining a strong wrestling program at Rockford. And I said, it's just incredible what he's done there. And I'm thrilled when I go back and watch how his teams perform. And they perform with class, and that's what I like to have my teams do the whole time I was there, because that was first and foremost. I wanted the kids to be class. You can be as tough as you want to, but you should be a gentleman. So, like I said, and last but not least, I thank you so much for listening to my story.
When you come to Michigan, you can wear it with Todd. You can wear it when you come to Michigan.
Next we have Mr. Murray Rose. Murray's Lifetime Service Award will be presented by his nominator and current board member, Mr. Kent Balo.
I knew there was somebody.
Murray's originally from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. and he graduated from Sir Winston Churchill High School. He came to the States on a partial wrestling scholarship at the University of North Dakota and obtained his Bachelor of Science degree majoring in physical education, health, and biology. Murray's career began in Lake Park, Minnesota, where he taught physical education and science along with being the head wrestling coach. After 3 years in Minnesota, he took a job at Merrill High School in Wisconsin, teaching physical education and biology. On the first day of school, Murray was informed that he was going to be the new boys swim coach. Apparently, he was the only new hire who had taken a swimming class. Murray moved to Allegan in the fall of 1985 to teach physical education and science at the junior high school. He took over a struggling wrestling program along with coaching JV football and track. He obtained his master's degree in athletic administration from Western Michigan University in 1990. In Murray's 30 years as the Allegan head wrestling coach, the program achieved the following: 767 dual meet wins, 22 Wolverine Conference titles, 23 district titles, 14 regional titles, 6 Final Four appearances, 2 team state runner-ups in 2006 and 10, 2 team state champions in 1992 and 2007. 21 wrestlers from the program went on to wrestle in college, 12 of which went to Division I. Murray has also earned the following coaching honors: Wolverine Conference Coach of the Year 12 times, MWA Regional Coach of the Year 10 times, MWA State Coach of the Year twice, Wolverine Conference Distinguished Service Award in 2018. He was inducted into the MWA Hall of Fame in 2018, and he's inducted into the Allegan Hall of Fame in 2024. Since retiring from teaching and coaching, Murray jumped to the other side and has become a wrestling official. Murray officiates in Michigan and Florida, along with officiating New Way all over the country. Murray just officiated his 3rd straight MHSAA individual finals at Ford Field. Murray is married to Deanna Rose and has 2 adult children, Tara and Devin. And now, please welcome Murray Rose.
I'm not saying that coaching swimming wasn't for me. Good afternoon. You know, I've been to a lot of different award ceremonies over the last 50 years or so, so I know what you're all thinking. Who's this guy? How long is he going to talk? Well, rest assured, I like giving speeches about as much as I like changing my granddaughter's messy diaper. Here it is. It's truly an honor, very humbling to be up here this afternoon, because I know the quality and the character of the people that receive this award. So it's truly an honor. I'd like to thank King Bill for the nomination. And I'd like to thank the committee for their recommendations. You know, also, I'd like to thank all the people that came here today on my behalf. My family over there, some good friends, some teachers, coaches, officials back there. It's great to see everybody. Also like to thank all the assistant coaches that I've had through the years. A couple of them are here today. Ken Harvey, Joey DeRocher, and there's many others that had an impact in my coaching career. Joe Simez, Ben Rayber, Gary Mead, and dozens of others. I truly believe that all of my success that I've had as a coach was due to the fact that I had good assistant coaches. Anybody that coaches knows that your program is only as good as the assistant coaches that are a part of it. You know, I first came to Allegan in the spring of 1985 for a job interview. And the school was looking for head wrestling coach and somebody to teach PE and science at the middle school. Went there for an interview. They kept me there for an 8-hour interview on a Friday. And met with everybody, even the mayor. How about that? The principal brings me into the gym, and he says, we need somebody to build a PE curriculum here, because we really don't have one. And he brings me up this back set of stairs to a balcony area, which obviously looks like a wrestling area. And one side's old wooden bleachers that you would pull out. The other side's got a cement concrete wall with no wall padding on it, with a stack of dirty mats thrown in a pile. And it was this time I said, so what's the status of the wrestling program here in Allegan? He said, you're looking at it. He said, this is where the high school practices. We don't have anywhere at the high school for wrestling. It's basically a basketball school. And I said, well, you know, does it all work? You know, how's it gonna happen? And he said, well, 7 or 8 kids finished the season last year. The program needs an overhaul. And I remember thinking, you know, okay, where's the middle school team practice? So where's the middle school team practice? He says, well, we don't have middle school wrestling. He said, we cut that years ago. He says, all we have is boys basketball here at the junior high. I remember driving back home after that interview thinking, there's no way that I'm going there. I told my wife, I said, hey, there's no way I'm going there. Well, the following Tuesday, I get a call from the principal. He says, hey, we finished all the interviews, and you're the #1 guy. You want the job? I said, I'll take it. So away we went, headed to Allegan in June of 1985, and started teaching junior high and coaching JV football. Wrestling came around, managed to get 18 kids out, forfeiting 3 weight classes, got pounded by everybody. And I think we won one conference match, and 10 and 12 overall. My first order of business, I gotta get that middle school wrestling program reinstated. I had to go to the school board and make a presentation. Their major concern was, hey, we bring wrestling back, how's this going to affect basketball? Well, go figure. So I had to make up a survey, and I handed it out to all the 45 boys that were playing basketball. And handed them all, collected them all, went through them. There's 5 or 6 kids that said, y'all probably wrestle. Took those ones, threw those ones away, and handed in the rest. And we were able to get the program reinstated. So that first group of 7th graders that started the following year won the state title in 1992, which just goes to show program, good assistant coaches, and good parent group and kids club and all the parts you need to have. Then we have to ask ourselves, why do we coach? Why do we put so much time and effort into chasing kids around and you know, practices? Because if you think about it, you're gone for 20 or more Saturdays in a row during the season. You know, I know some coaches that lost their marriages because of time gone, it's time spent. So I really need to thank my wife for putting up with me for 34 years of coaching. It was just incredible. She'd bring, you know, food to the meetings and help with tournaments, as fun as that may be. She probably many times would have been rather than somewhere else. I truly love her for it, so thank you very much. You know, ask yourselves why we coach. I mean, we surely don't do it for the 40 cents an hour that we make. And we don't do it so we can be gone 20 Saturdays in a row, giving up Christmas vacations and Thanksgiving breaks and summertime and all that time spent. We don't do it so we can meet a bunch of psycho moms and nutcase dads through the years. We don't do it so we can argue with officials on a Saturday, although that can be fun. So why do we do it? I really had that answer given to me by a 5-year-old, really not too many years ago. I was up in the balcony to run one of our My Way practices, and this little 5-year-old, you know, those first of all, you walk in there and those little kids are jumping all over you, right? I'm trying to peel them off me, and this one little guy's got me wrapped around the leg like a cobra snake. Looking at that big smile on his face, he says, "Hey, mister, why do you coach?" I said, "Well, what?" He says, "Is it because it's fun?" I said, "Yeah, because it's fun." He says, "I'm having fun too." And then he says, "My grandpa wrestled for you." At that point, toward the end of my career, I realized that a lot of the kids I had on the team, their dads also wrestled for me. kids I had in class, students, I had their parents as students, I had their aunts and uncles and neighbors as students. It all just kind of blends together over time. But through the years, I've had a whole lot of fun, and it's been a great ride. And I think that anybody that's coached knows that in the end, it's truly, truly worth it. If I have to restart, I do it all over again, because I think that working with kids and coaching is the best career a person can have. I also believe that anybody that's ever wrestled, regardless of the level, that their life is better for it. Thanks, everybody.
Our final lifetime service awardee is Mr. Mike DeGain. Mike? Mike's award will be presented by his nominator and current board member, Mr. John Major. Mike DeGain's involvement with wrestling started in 1971 when he was a 7th grader at Wilkinson Junior High in Madison Heights. An after-school impromptu program by Madison Heights high school coaches Jim and Jack Myers was the impetus for Mike's interest in wrestling. He attended practices at his younger brother's wrestling club at Wanda Webster Elementary School in Hazel Park, which was run by Lee and Joy Davis. We've heard a lot about them. And coached by John and George Olson. In high school, Mike was a 4-time MHSAA state qualifier. He finished 3rd. He finished as a runner-up and an MHSAA state champion. He was also a junior national All-American in 1974. Mike attended Northern Michigan University briefly on a wrestling scholarship, and then he attended both Macomb Community College and Wayne State. After college, Mike made a career in automotion engineering. Mike's coaching career began in 1980 when he took over the head coaching position at Royal Oak Dondero, which lasted for 9 years. During that time, he also assisted at the Utica Hawks Wrestling Club. In 1990, Mike moved his family to White Lake, and he continued to be involved in wrestling and began assisting with the Goodrich Wrestling Program. Goodrich and White Lake aren't right next to each other. You gotta understand. Anyway, he was at Goodrich Wrestling Club along with Dennis Storrs. He also assisted Dennis with schoolboy national teams. He then took over the Clarkston Wrestling Club, and in 1992 he was hired as the head coach at Clarkston High School. Mike coached many state qualifiers, state medalists, state champions over the years, as well as many Fargo Junior National All-Americans. Clarkston made 3 appearances at the state dual meet tournament, making the semifinals twice, and were runners-up once in 1995. From 1991 until 2003, Mike served as a coach, team leader, and head coach of USA Wrestling in Michigan, coordinating all Team Michigan trips to the national duels and junior nationals in Fargo. Additionally, from 1994 until 2006, Mike was the director of the Oakland County tournament. Overall, Mike's involvement in wrestling spans over 6 decades. Finally, Mike is past president of the Michigan chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, this organization, for what, 5 years? 7 years, he was extremely involved in keeping the Michigan chapter on track and made it one of the most involved chapters in the National Hall of Fame. Mike still helps out from the background, and the entire board of directors appreciates all he has done for the sport of wrestling in Michigan. Please welcome our next lifetime service to wrestling inductee, Mr. Mike DeGain.
Thank you, Brent. Truly honored and grateful to be here. And it's great to be introduced by my longtime friend, Brett Mickelson. So it's an extra treat. It's humbling being thought of alongside so many of the people I've always looked up to. Yeah, and most of them have already been inducted into this Hall of Fame. My high school coach, Jim Myers, and fellow Madison alumni, Bernie Gonzalez, just start the list. Coach was a Madison alum as well, so for a school that no longer has wrestling, we're pretty well represented, I think. So, there's really nothing to laugh about, unfortunately. So. But anyway, Lee and Joy Davids welcomed my family into the Wanda Webster and Rhino Wrestling Clubs. And Lee, bless his soul, is responsible for my nomination, along with John Major, who really did most of the paperwork, I think, right? But I thank you both so much. I just wish Lee could have been here. Masaki Hata was also a big influence on my coaching, as was Coach Myers. I tried to coach as much of Masaki's technique that I could sponge off of him, and then couple it with both Coach Jack and Jim Myers' mental toughness, because those guys could make you mentally tough. I just hope I came close to that. So, many of my summertime partners in crime are on this Hall of Fame. Dennis Storrs, who really taught me the ropes about Fargo and all that stuff, and showed me how important it was to be able to send kids to the next level like that. My last wrestling team I coached had 7 Fargo All-Americans on it. Tom Lehman, also another partner in crime at Fargo. And then unfortunately Al Castle no longer is with us, bless his soul. He was one of those guys too, along with Dave Mills. Ed Bankowski and Doug Willer and I worked very closely together since 2017, hosting this banquet, becoming pretty chummy in the process, and it was definitely a good time with those guys. I've really loved being able to get to know both of them much better. Okay, then there's Eric Koch. He's the one that can be blamed for my time on the board of directors. He pulled a fast one on me when I returned from the restroom at a meeting and finding out I was the president of the chapter all of a sudden. There's not a single person on that list of inductees that I haven't admired. I'm talking about really all the inductees there, but it's also the ones that are going in today with me here. Lots of admiration and respect for all of them. I'd like to thank my family, allergies. I'd like to thank my family and friends that have come to support me. I'm blessed to be able to coach my sons, Pat, Clint, and Joe, to state championships. And thank my daughter-in-law Liz and other daughter-in-law Lindsay with us to be here today, along with my grandson Sam and grandson Max and my granddaughter Kimora. Sam just finished up his wrestling career, and it was great to be able to watch that. Max, we'll see if he gets into wrestling, but he's a heck of a football player. And then Kimora is the next budding track star to come out of Grand Blanc, I think. So, got a lot to look forward to there. Oh, yeah, and I think my brothers, Ken, Steve, and Dave, they were all wrestlers. They're here today. Ken, he was kind of like a trademark at our school when I was wrestling, because he was just little and he had fire engine red hair. And he looked like a little fire engine running all over the mats and everything back then. But he wrestled, and Dave and Steve both wrestled. Dave was unlucky enough to have me as his workout partner in high school. I was not kind to him. Oh, sorry about that, Dave. But he was lucky enough to marry into the Gonzalez family. And when he met his wife, Tony, who's, I think she's sitting next to him. Oh, he's up. Okay, all right. All right, so anyway, now we got my nephew Michael and his wife Katie. And Michael's kind of one of in our family. He's how do you get a DeGain, a DeGain that has the mother from the Gonzalez family, and he plays basketball? I don't know how that happened. I think we're all still trying to figure that out. But anyway, then I got my other nephew Eric and his son Easton. Easton is wrestling at Utica. And Easton, I gotta tell you, your dad had the same problem as Mike. He kept telling him he was gonna poke his eye out with that thing, but he wouldn't wrestle. And I got my nieces Amanda here with David. Thanks so much for coming. Amanda's a heck of a basketball and volleyball player. And then we got Erica and her husband Devin. And I appreciate you guys coming. They have a little boy who they're calling Tank now. And Tank is wrestling, so we got some hope. So my oldest friend, Randy Smith, is here with his wife Gina. Been friends since 4th grade. And friends with Gina since 7th grade. So we've known each other forever. And I appreciate that they were able to get here for this. Ken Delafore, who some of you might know from the Detroit Lions, was another one of my high school workout partners, as well as Dave. And I'm so glad that he can make it here today. And then Pat Coleman, I already mentioned Jack Myers, were my wrestling coaches in high school, and it's an honor to have both of you here today as well. So, and I have one of my former wrestlers from Royal Oak Condero here. He was on the first team I ever coached. Lonnie? Ellen? Where are you at? There you are. Okay. Yeah, Lonnie was on my first team, and then his mother was my first real team mother. I mean, she didn't know nothing about wrestling, but boy, she knew how to be a team mother. She just came in and took over and did a fantastic job. Oh, he likes to hunt and fish a little bit too. And other good friends and supporters from the Clarkston time I was there, Gordy Briggs and Denny Purcell. I know you guys are here, somewhere over here. I see, there you are, back there. I appreciate that you guys are here. But my allergies are really getting to me. But the one person that enabled me to coach and live the life that I always wanted to was my wife, Donna. This year, we've been married 47 years and together for 50. Without her, nothing happens. The boys don't even learn to doubling because she taught them their first double. I came home from work or from practice one day, and there's a note on the table. Took the kids to wrestling practice. Great. So I stayed away for about a month, and she got them all the basics. But she supported me in every way possible. Nursed me back to health multiple times lately. So I wish you didn't have to, but we were there. but I wouldn't do it with anybody else, and I couldn't. I love you. Couple of quickies, won't be too long. In March of 2002, Donna and I were in Albany watching Pat wrestle in the NCAA his first. And he was wrestling for Indiana University. It was really cold and snowy, and we were waiting for a shuttle bus to get us back to our hotel. Quite a few other people were waiting. And I noticed this guy with a snorkel jacket, you know how they kind of crunch around your face like that. He was kind of staring us down, and I'm like, what's going on here? But it was cold, and okay. So he kept staring at us, so I told him, just stay by me, something's going on with this guy. And so we walk away, and this guy walks back over, and I'm going, what's going on? All of a sudden, from behind me, somebody pushes a note into my face. And it says, are you Coach DeGain? And I immediately knew who it was. Lonnie, you should too. It was the Kurz brothers. They're both deaf. They wrestled for me at Dondero. One lived in Iowa, and the other one near Chicago. One was a teacher, and the other one was an engineer. But they had been following Pat, and they showed up just to watch him. And that was just a fantastic thing. So, and another one was in March 2002. Actually, no, that's not right. That's not right. Okay, anyway, I think it was actually 2000. I was coaching, and we were having a little bit of a down year, but not too bad. We had a 171-pounder who was our captain, who wrestled really good up till Christmas, and then he had a season-ending injury, and we had to go to our number 2 guy. So our number 2 guy steps in for about a week, and he goes down with an injury. So now we're down to our number 3 guy. Our number 3 guy had never wrestled a varsity match in his life, and well, he had Coke bottle glasses, curly black hair, and lanky kind of a kid, and he was a good kid, and he was a smart kid, but he didn't have much wrestling time, really, even though he was a senior. So anyway, he's next man up, and we put him in, and we weren't really expecting a lot out of him. And next thing you know, he's a league champ. And then he gets to regionals, and he loses in overtime in the blood round. And I felt far sorry for him, you know, he came so close and everything, and he said, Coach, I had the time of my life. So did I. Thank you.
Finally, we would like to present our Outstanding American Award to Mr. Paul Salyers.
Oh, yeah!
This award is being presented by our nominator and third board member, Mr. Kent Balo. As the youngest boy in a family of 10 with 4 older brothers, Paul has been wrestling all his life. He began wrestling on a team at age 4 and continued through high school and college. He graduated from high school at the age of 16 and was MHSAA state runner-up in his senior year. He wrestled at Central Michigan, lettering all 4 years. His freshman year, he was named the outstanding freshman of his team. His junior year, he was the Boyden Award winner as the outstanding student athlete at CMU. His senior year, he was a team captain and was named CMU's outstanding wrestler. He was also a Division I NCAA national qualifier his senior year. Because of his early start, he finished his college wrestling career at the age of 20. He took his commission in the United States Marine Corps upon graduation from Central. He married his college sweetheart 3 weeks later, started law school at the University of Detroit shortly thereafter. Upon graduation from law school and passing the bar exam, he spent 4 years on active duty in the Marines, serving as criminal defense attorney. After his tour of active duty, he joins the Marine Reserves, where he served as battalion judge advocate for the 1st Battalion, 24th Marines, achieving the rank of major. He's coached wrestling teams at the youth club and high school levels for over 35 years. Most recently at Warren Mott High School, where he's been coaching for 20 plus years. Paul is the co-founder of the Toys for Tots Takedown in Motown wrestling tournament, which has been collecting Christmas toys for needy children in Southeast Michigan for almost 30 years. He's the owner and the founder of Salyers, Hugo and Associates, a Troy-based law firm. He's helped form and served as corporate counsel for dozens of nonprofit companies on the Metro Detroit area. He has 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, all of whom he's extremely proud. The boys both wrestle, the girls both wanted to wrestle, and he has 2 son-in-laws and a daughter-in-law, and they are all wonderful additions to his family. Please give a hearty round of applause to our 2024 Outstanding American recipient, Mr. Paul Salyers.
A long afternoon, and I'm pretty much sure everybody's like, say thank you and get the heck off the stage. I have to say a little bit more than that. I apologize. And all those loud people, Todd, my family is louder than all your friends. I'm one of 10 kids. We've lost 2. All the rest of them are here except for the one that lives in Florida that can hardly walk. But they're all here. My family's here, and it's a good group. Look, let me say thank you first to Kent. Appreciate it very much. Kind of blew me away when you told me I was being nominated for anything, but and then I want to say thank you to the board for recognizing, I guess, me. Again, not something I ever saw coming. So I want to also, I don't think many people realize how much work goes into being a nominee or an inductee. Doug, you work your tail off, dude. I mean, the amount of things that go into this so that they can put a nice little package together for everybody, it's a lot. And we thank you very much. So when I first heard I was getting the Outstanding American Recognition Award, whatever you want to refer to it as, I'm like, holy crap, is this a Trump thing? No, it's not. Sorry, where my brain went. It's a pretty ostentatious title, and frankly, it's a bit humbling. As I understand it, it's given to those who use the disciplines of wrestling to launch notable careers in other walks of life. Well, let me do this. I don't want to wax philosophical and waste everybody's time. And I got my son down there giving me the time hack. Because you give a lawyer a microphone, and this could go on all afternoon. But what is a lot of alluding to what we do as coaches, what we do as wrestlers, what it means to us, what it means, why we actually spend all of the time. I think Jeff Pruitt, who's here, and I sat down and calculated one time, and I think our net that we take home from our coaching pay was like negative 5 cents an hour. I mean, it's a what in the hell are you doing this? So let's talk a little bit about the disciplines of wrestling and what it gets you. Okay, if you engage in wrestling. Toughness, flat out toughness. There are kids that are going to walk through life differently because they stepped on a mat. There's a book that Tommy David sells in his store, which I bought multiple copies at various points, and I've given them away and didn't get them back. But it's called Wrestling Tough, and it is about just the clash of gladiators that go on in the wrestling room, and how the successful programs have that tenacity and they have that toughness, and you seek that for your kids. And toughness is something you get out of this sport. Another one, a big one, is self-discipline. I mean, look at us. Half you people look like me. You have a dysfunctional relationship with food, okay? It's because we've all been dieting, and now we don't have to do that anymore. But you work through fatigue. You basically have the dieting thing. You get self-discipline. You know how to do it at least for a period of time. Hard work. No. Used to carry around this little trivia card in my wallet that I stole from my brother Kevin, and it said, "Is it possible to lose 10 pounds in an hour?" And the answer was yes, in a high school wrestling practice. It gets tough in there. I actually did lose 10 pounds. I won't go into it, but I lost 10 pounds because I thought carry system at nationals, thought I was out of the tournament, ate like a cow, and had to lose 10 pounds to weigh in because I found out I was still in the tournament. Then didn't get to wrestle the next day. It was a lot of fun. But the other thing is, the hard work, the goal setting and achievements. You learn to set goals, and you learn to work towards those goals, and you find out real quickly that this sport gives you something that nothing else does. There is a direct relationship between the amount of effort and the amount of success. Direct. Nothing else in my life has ever worked out that way. It is graphable. The other thing it gives you confidence. And the confidence comes from all of the other things combined together. And once you have confidence, you have courage. And our young men and women need that. But then there's the last thing that it gives you. Humility. Because there's always a Todd Cheney Hartland team that's going to kick the crap out of you in the regional finals twice. There's always, some Andre Mesker throwing you into the stands at the Midlands. I mean, we all know that there's always somebody tougher. So you walk around with, you got confidence, but what's the meme? The Spanish guy who's drinking the Modelo or whatever it is like, before I go and get into a fight, I always look and check and see if there's cauliflower ears on other people in the bar. You don't want to do that. Because it might not go well. All right, so those are the basic things that I sat there and categorized in my life that I really got out of wrestling, okay? Now, there are a number of people that I learned those things from. When I was a kid wrestling at Van Dyke Wrestling Club, where Joy Davids made our singlets, made our warm-ups, still got my warm-up, wanted to bring it and show it. I had to take apart a shadow box, and it seemed like a lot of work. So, but Mel Rasmussen at Van Dyke Wrestling Club, Mel was a big, huge guy, but he moved like he was a cat. My brother Tom was in there working in a cage at Warren Lincoln High School, beating up on little kids and telling us, you gotta be tougher. Bill Delia Vito Delia, which Shawn referenced earlier, was my junior high school wrestling coach at Walcott. Gentleman by the name of Fred Hicks at Sandusky. When we were city kids, and then my dad got this brain fart of a beautiful idea, decided to move us 10 miles out of town either way to a 200-acre farm where he was going to work us to death. We had a choice, Marlette or Sandusky. We went Sandusky because the bus turned around in our driveway. And we ended up at Sandusky. They had just started a wrestling program back up. We really didn't have much experience. Fred Hicks, God bless him, stepped up, took 2 years, and he coached, even though he did not know what the hell he was doing. And my brother Mike was the coach half the time. But then Fred stepped aside because of a gentleman, Rudy Thompson, who's sitting right here, who took the job and did a great job coaching for us. After that, my coaching experience was from Tom Minkle, Chick Sherwood. I know for about a year, Johnny Matthews was hanging out in the CMU wrestling room, and that dude was amazing. But there's 2 people here that I really want to spend a little bit more time on, because they are the guys that really influenced me heavily. And one was Bill Delia. Mr. Delia was a young man when he coached me. I don't think I realized, Mr. D, how young you were, but he taught me basic skills, sure, but he also taught us how to work and have fun. And we worked our tail off, and we had a blast. Taught us, he was one of those guys that it didn't matter how bad you were, he kind of included you in, and you were one of them, because I'm going to tell you right now, little foreshadowing, I sucked. I was not a good wrestler as a kid. He also has demonstrated over the course of time a tremendous amount of dedication to his alumni. He continues to build the relationships and use those relationships to further the wrestling community. He's got a network of former Walcott Lincoln wrestlers who work in various fields, and he encourages all of us to use them if we need a plumber or we need an electrician or whatever the case might be. Great job. Rudy Thompson. Rudy's here. Rudy wrestled at Cornell University as a heavyweight, right? You're a heavyweight? Yeah, he was a heavier weight. Not as heavy as you are right now. But his high school wrestling coach was Kyle Dake's grandpa. Okay? Small world. So he takes us over to Ithaca High School in New York when I think it was my senior year. We all drove out there in 2 mobile homes and we wrestled Ithaca. We got our, what was it?
Lansing, New York.
It was, Lansing, New York. It was near Ithaca. All right, well, the bar, no, never mind. Anyway, I was the only one that won, and it was a tussle. It was a tussle, but he came in there and he elevated the game. He really elevated the game for us. He helped out a lot. He elevated my skill level in the room, again, while keeping it fun. And he built a tight-knit group of guys that thought we were pretty good. The confidence thing was going because we had all the other things going. Both of these guys influenced me a lot, and they're here today, and I personally would appreciate if you join me in giving them a hand. I may not have said it out loud, but thank you. Good. All right, enough of that, emotional crap. So I talked a bit about the disciplines of wrestling and where I learned them. Let me tell you real quickly, where am I at time-wise? Oh my crap. I'm gonna get there. So all those people back there, sitting back there, my family, they raised their hands, and none of us look very fit anymore. But I'm gonna tell you something. Back when we were running South Warren, they were all athletes. My oldest brother, Dave, was a bull. I mean, he tells wrestling stories, and it's like, how many times did you throw people into the stands, dude? My brother Tom took fourth in state and was wrestling people like, was it Hyde and Antonetti, and Bernie Gonzalez and various people. You know, I mean, he was competing with these guys, and I hear stories growing up, and he's like, he's a stud, Dave's a stud. My brother Kevin, God bless him, rest in peace, he's gone, but that dude was the best wrestler of us all. He just couldn't stay out of a little bit of trouble that kept derailing his stuff. Warren Mott, where I've coached, has had one state champ up until Hannah. We had one state champ, and that was Dave Cartier. My understanding is that my brother Kevin lost to Cartier in a really tight match, 1-0. Yes, sir. I do. All right. So I will try to bring it to a close before it got awful long. But anyway, I was a horrible wrestler. The joke in the family was that I knew how all the wrestling meets were hosted by Joy and Tommy, or Joy and Lee Davids at Hazel Park High School when I was a kid. Every weekend, same place, more or less the same kids, more or less the same outcome. Paul on his back, looking at the lights, you know, lose, go eat some hot dogs, drink some pop, be done. I sucked. The joke was I knew how many lights there were in Hazel Park, and my brother Mike will still use it. My first medal, took a third place out of 3 guys in a 3-man church. Still got that medal. All right? So then we moved to the thumb, and I'm not very good. I go through, Mr. Delia takes me into Walcott's wrestling room. I get a little bit better, but I'm not great. I go to Sandusky. I struggle for the first couple of years. I was very nerdy, and my dad decided that the best way to do things, because I was in this advanced placement program, we're moving up to this farm. And he goes, well, I want my kid in that advanced placement program. And they're like, we don't got that. He goes, well, he's smart. Just bump him up a grade. So all of a sudden I go from, I'm starting my first month in 8th grade as a October birthday, to all of a sudden I'm a 9th grader walking around weighing a grand total of about 90 pounds. And I was and somebody put a tack on my chair day 1, led through my pants, and then I got in a fight by the 6th hour. Dave Moore. Anyway, the thing that gets you through all of that adversity is the toughness. It's the wrestling experience, and it's what made me better, and it's what I needed. Somebody touched on it earlier, and I don't know exactly who it was. Well, I do know it was Mark. The kids, the people, the men, the women that need this the most, that need wrestling the most, they're not the athletes, they're not the natural wrestlers. The ones who derive the greatest benefit from what we do are frankly the unathletic kids like I was. 10 siblings, 9 siblings, any one of them could beat my butt at any given moment, and I ended up doing the most with wrestling because it meant something to me. It gave me something that I didn't otherwise have. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and about the disciplines, and then what I did with those disciplines and what they meant for me. Because not only have I coached a long time, but I also, you know, when I got out, I went to Marine Corps, piece of cake after wrestling practice. I'm telling you right now, nothing, not even close. The stuff we do in the wrestling room, they don't do there. And I was going through OCS, which is supposed to be pretty doggone tough. But I was still in way better shape than all the other idiots that, no offense, can't swam, played football, did whatever. All right. Yeah, one real quick one. I was in high school, I didn't make weight. Do you know what happened to me when I didn't make weight my freshman year? That guy right there punched me right, a smack dab in the face, in the nose, bloodied my nose because I didn't make weight. That's the accountability side of the equation, okay? You learn accountability. All right, so I go through high school, I go up to Saunders or Central. I left and went to Central because I was 16 years old. My mom said, well, my dad was a truck driver. You're gonna have to either go stay on the farm and work with Dad, go on the road with Dad, or well, that's it. Those are your options. Or you can go to CMU because I have a cousin who works there and she'll watch you. All right, I guess it's CMU. I'm not staying on this farm and working anymore. So I go to CMU, saw my mother's cousin one time in 5 years. But while I was there, I had a great time. I wasn't gonna wrestle initially. I walked onto the team. Had been offered a bunch of little, books or this or that, because I took second in state and not first in state. But I get there and I'm playing racquetball at Rose Arena, and I see a sign that says "Walk-Ons Welcome." Somehow I had my shoes with me. For a guy that wasn't gonna wrestle, I don't know how I had my shoes with me, but I did. And I went down to the first walk-ons welcome practice open room, and Fred Boss is looking for a partner. Yeah, that didn't go well. I thought, oh, sure, I don't know who you are, let's go. Fred's like 26 at the time. I'm 16. Anyway, ended up having a good time there, learned a lot, coached by some really good people. Met my gorgeous wife, Gail. Got married shortly thereafter. I was co-captains. Where's Davey Mills? All right, there he is, back there. Dave and I were co-captains at Central. Had a lot of fun. Worked hard, worked hard. I go to law school. I don't think I'm smart enough. I remember the night before law school was supposed to start, I'm worried because I'm just graduating from CMU and all these kids are, from Big Ten schools that are going to law school. And I woke up having a bad dream that they figured out I was a fraud. I shouldn't have been accepted to law school. What are you laughing about, Dan? Not that funny. Anyway, I resolved to outwork them. When I did, I wasn't the smartest guy there. But what I figured out real quickly is the smart guys tend to be lazy. And you can outwork them. And again, wrestling. That's where that comes from, wrestling. I ended up top 10 in my class. I've had 3 different careers the way I look at it. I've had my career in law, okay? Went to a law firm, hated it, started my own firm, done fairly well. I had a career with the Marine Corps where I went to the Marines for active duty for 4 years. I was a criminal defense attorney until the first Gulf War went down. We lost all of our criminals because they dropped all the charges they needed cannon fodder. So all of a sudden I go from 40 cases to 7. So bailed out of that and ended up going over and doing legal assistance, which is wills, powers of attorney, that kind of stuff. And there were 50,000 Marines and sailors that needed wills and powers of attorney before they went overseas. So we were rather busy that year. Get done, come back. My mom is losing it from progressive dementia. Mike and I and the whole family dealt with it as best we could. And we essentially did a conservatorship and guardianship, and I learned a whole lot about what you want to avoid. And that began the formulation for me starting my own business. I left the law firm, started my own company. Huge story real quick. Took Dale, decided I wanted to do this. It was Mountain Jacks. You guys remember Mountain Jacks? Mountain Jacks. Asked Gail out on a date night. We go to the date night. We have a couple of bottles of wine, some nice steaks, get her liquored up, say, I want to go out on my own. She's like, sure. Thus began the law firm of Salyers, Hugo and Associates. And it was a scary time. We worked our tails off. But the starting your own business, the doing the things that you're doing, it takes guts, it takes confidence, it takes courage, it takes all of the things that I think wrestling gave to me. Now, why in God's name would I coach? Well, because, exactly, who said giving back? That's exactly it. I got involved for a little while there. I was lost when I was working at the firm downtown, and I was like, I was kind of searching. I had always known I wanted to be a lawyer, and I was like, there's got to be more to it than this. It was a miserable experience. And I joined a group, small men's group, Christian group. I'm not going to evangelize to you, don't sweat it. But I got conversant with the language. It was almost like a Promise Keepers type thing, but it wasn't. Anyway, if you've heard the term evangelizing, evangelizing is kind of what we do as coaches. We believe in a code. We believe that this is the right way to do things. And And it ain't always about winning and losing. In fact, it's more often than not about winning or losing. It's about teaching kids to put in their all, the most that they've got. It's a cool experience. Now, I have coached with a lot of guys that are here. I'm just gonna mention a few names. Well, they're not here. Coach Rod Rapp at Mount Pleasant was one of the first guys I coached with. I was an assistant coach at Rochester Adams for a year. I was a head coach at Oxford for a year. Then I thought I was done with it because I went in the Marines and I came back and I got sucked into coaching by Greg Wojciechowski and Paul Naismith because I went to a youth practice, opened my mouth up about what was going on, and they said, oh, you've got experience in wrestling? Come here. 10 years later, I'm getting out of there and I'm the same thing. I'm getting sucked into coaching at Warren Mott. And took me a while, but I figured out why it meant something so much to me. While I've been at Mott, I mean, I've got Greg and Paul Naismith are here. Gary Scope, I don't think made it here. Kevin Abersky is here. Kevin, raise your hand up there, buddy. Kevin was, yeah, I'll give you Kevin wrestled for me for what, 1 year? 1 year when I first started in Mott. He got really good, really quick, and he got, you know, bit. He was hooked on wrestling. He's been coaching with me ever since, except for a very brief period of time when you were partying all the time. I think it was college, something like that. Mott had a really good year this year. We made it to the state meet as a team, state tournament, which was awesome. That guy was the brainchild behind the matchups. The guy sitting next to him, Jeff, raise your hand. Jeff Pruitt, when I got sucked into being the head coach at Mott, he was good enough to step up and be the assistant coach. Jeff is probably one of the best youth club coaches and beginner coaches. He's got the patience of a saint, and more importantly, he explains it in ways that they understand it. He's also a really good girls coach, as Hannah will testify, because he was Hannah's main coach when Hannah won the state meet a couple of years ago. Where's Mike Conflitti? There he is. Mike Conflitti. Degenerate, good guy. Mike coaches at Roughneck Wrestling, which is an elite wrestling club. He solved up my problem of having open rooms in the summer. No one would show up, or you get 3 kids. One's a lightweight, one's a middleweight, and one's a fat kid. That don't work. So now they go over to Roughneck Wrestling, and I learned a lot with Mike Conflitti and watching the way he coaches. His Manic Monday stuff and the other stuff that he does keeps the kids' interest. And he just does a really nice job. Eric Simez came over to our, where's Eric? Where you at? There he is. Eric Simez, we all know who he is. Brother to Cameron. Eric was working in our area, and he came into our room, and he pretty much called all of our kids pussies, and that they were soft and everything else, but he breathed toughness into that room. It was farmer toughness, and it was well needed. Nolan McPartland, where you at, Nolan? There he is. Nolan's the head coach at Warren Mott, has been for a couple of years. He is. I've been keeping my hand on the tiller, helping him out, but he's a great guy, and he's done a lot of good work, and he's a really good coach. And I'm very, very pleased with what you've done. So to kind of sum this all up, because there is a closing to this, and then I got to tell you about my wife real quick. There is. Sorry. How long am I right now? Don't worry about it. I told you, don't give a lawyer a microphone. Anyway, listen. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the kids to understand just how important what their experience is. And I want them to stay in, and that means you build an alumni pool. So what we've got is we've got this, we do an alumni practice after, Friday after Thanksgiving. Everybody does that. Then we go to lunch. Coolest thing in the world, you guys. We're getting 40, 50 people showing up at our alumni lunch. And they all come in, and they have a great time, and they tell lies and tell stories about their wrestling days, and I'm like, none of you were that good. But the other thing that we've got going on, and I don't know if you've seen it up there, but this is a military challenge coin. I designed this for Warren Mott. It's got our skull and crossbones on it on the back. It says, once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. And our kids love these. It also comes with one free legal consult. Wrestlers tend to use them. Anyway, when we walk into that alumni lunch, first thing that happens, you throw it down. The game is, if I throw mine down and you're in the group and you ain't got yours, you're buying. You got it, I'm buying. Now, I happen to have played this trick on a lot of good people. For instance, Eric Simons had to go buy me a beer when we were at his wedding because he wasn't carrying his coin. The other thing is the Toys for Tots program that we've been running. Toys for Tots is a way of showing the kids it's not just about you. It's about other people less fortunate and about how you need to be outward in terms of what you do. We've been doing that tournament for 29 years. There are some people that have helped out immensely. Gary Kovaleski has been there from the get-go. Raise your hand, Gary. Gene, I think you've been there from the get-go too, right? Gary's been reffing for 30 years, and Gene's been reffing for almost 50 years. And they come and they help and they do a great job with it. The giant guy that was in the back that left is Dave Clark. He wrestled for me at Oxford. Funny story. I hated that kid. He had a smart mouth and I would make him run. I go, all right, Clark, start running. I would forget he'd be running. It'd be going on for like an hour. And I'm like, look, you still running? He'd still be running. That kid loves me. And I love him. He's a good guy, but he's come to every Toys for Tots meet. He joined the Marine Corps. He's done everything he can to be with us and to be supportive of us. And just a great guy, but he's a detective in Flint, and he got called out. Something happened. He's gone to that. Paul and Greg, you guys are there at every Toys for Tots tournament. My brother Dave has been there at every Toys for Tots tournament. My family has been there for every Toys for Tots tournament. The other thing we're doing at Mott that is helping the kids, and it's a career path, is women's wrestling. Hannah, stand up, honey. Come on. This is Hannah Purdy. She was a girls' state champ at 125 a few years back. I'm almost done. She was and after she won that tournament, and frankly, you too. You started out as a freshman. You were not good. She was not. And she'll tell you. But she worked on it, push-ups, sit-ups, all this kind of stuff. Got herself really tough, and then learned how to wrestle, and is very good. She's gonna be wrestling at Grand Valley this year. Hannah won the state meet. 9 girls. 9 girls we got on our team this year. That's from you. Okay. I got to tell you about that lady right there, and then because I got to thank my wife. I thank all of you for coming and listening to my rambling nonsense. It's been an honor to do this, but none of it would have been possible but for Gail. So Gail met me at a kegerator party when I was at Central, and it was my keg, and she wanted a solo cup so that she could drink beer out of my keg, and I told her that it was $3. And she said, I just want one. I said, well, give me a kiss. And she told me to go to hell. That meant I liked her. She was spunky. Actually, she looked very much like Lauren Hughes from Love Boat. She was a hottie, and I fell in love immediately, and we got married 3 weeks after college. We've never looked back, and it's going to be 39 years here coming up very shortly. I'm the winner on that one, but I love you. And none of all of the stuff that we do, would be possible without you. All right? Thank you so much. Sorry to keep you so long.
Todd!
Todd, do you always come to these?
I used to every 7 years.
Yeah.
Not this long.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I only have one last real official act, and that is that the National Wrestling Hall of Fame has told me I had better get a group picture of all of our inductees with their plaques and their jackets. So if you could remain seated for just a minute while they make their way up in front of that banner so we can get their pictures. I would appreciate it. I hope you had a great time. I enjoyed the humor, the laughter, the story, and I